So I've got a 2005 Sportsman 500 HO. It's an EFI. And the customer said it won't start. When he brought it to me, it was a complete mess. He tried to change the solenoid himself and really screwed it up. But I've already gone in and replaced the solenoid and fixed it because he destroyed the stock one. And down here, you get your positive side here. You got your positive wire that hooks to the positive side, and then you got your wire that goes to your starter. And then back in there, there's a quick connector, and then there's two screws right here that hold it on. And after replacing it, you can hear the solenoid's working perfectly, but the starter's dead. So we're gonna go through and pull the starter out. I've already got the wheel well off. There's 4 bolts here, plastic clip here, 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 and here, and you just wrestle it out of there. And the fun thing about replacing the starter on these is you got to pull the whole clutch housing unit off, which involves pulling the primary, secondary. It's almost impossible to do without it. It's not that big of a deal. You do need a clutch puller. So you undo this hose clamp here for the snorkel. You got a bolt here, bolt there. Don't forget that one right there, there. Down up in here, there's one right there. I can't really see it with my camera. There's one on the back, and there's one here, and then there's one more right there. And then that cover becomes loose, and you can pull it out. Okay, once you've wrestled the cover off, you get your primary and secondary. You can start by taking the secondary off. It's a 13 mil. Shouldn't be on there very tight. And then 16 mil for the primary. Once you got both your bolts out, my secondary is already loose, but I find it easier just to knock the primary off first. You're gonna need a clutch removal tool. Pick these up pretty much anywhere. And if you don't have one, there's threads built into the clutch. A little hack is you fill the hole with grease, run a bolt in that's threaded, and the grease, of course, you can't compress, and it'll do the same thing this will. But I have what I need. Just like that. Take the puller back out because it's no longer needed. Slip the clutch and belt right off. And then you can get to the secondary and slip that right off. Keep in mind there's probably going to be washers and stuff in here. See it? Don't lose them. That's part of the shimming. So now we got to take out these 3 little screws, these 4, and then we'll get the rest of that plate off. And then we'll be able to get to the starter. Now with the cover out of the way, it's a good time to check and make sure that that oil seal is good. It's not oil dripping down. Same thing with this oil seal. If they were bad, it'd be dripping. But now you can see we can get to the bolt here and here, get that starter out of there. After removing these 2 bolts, we're going to have to undo this cable, but I find it easier to do it after I pull the starter. I went to the other side and used my pry bar and a hammer and drove it this way to get it out of the seal. See, that's the seal I'm referring to. And it goes up into that hole. Sometimes it gets stuck in there, corroded a little bit, so you just beat on it a little bit. The starter's junk anyways. You ain't gonna hurt nothing. If you were going to rebuild that starter, I wouldn't suggest beating on it, but I'm not rebuilding it. And guys, with the starter out, if you weren't 100% sure, I mean, you can hear it, that one's shot, but if you weren't 100% sure, just take a common battery, 12 bolts, ground it out, touch it. And this one isn't even sparking. There's no brushes left at all. But if there was brushes, it would have cranked over if it was good. like I said, they're not supposed to sound like that. So we'll be getting a new starter for it. Well guys, I got the new starter in, and just to show you that it works well, negative to the battery. That's it. If the old starter was good, it would have did that also. And when you spin it, sounds smooth versus the old starter that was just beat to hell. Alright guys, with the machine all back together, let's see if she works. Kind of what I'm listening for is there's a gear in here that sometimes sticks, and if it does, it'll make the starter stay engaged the whole time and it'll squeal like crazy. But I don't hear that issue with this four-wheeler, so I think we're good to go. Real quick guys, the gear I was just referring to is this. It's called a bendex. They're known to go bad. They get rusty. It's a Polaris thing. I keep one right in stock all the time because it's pretty much universal on Polarises. But like I said, this one, it wasn't bad, and I'm not going to mess with it if it's not bad. This customer doesn't want to put a lot of money into this machine, and I don't know why, because it's actually in really good shape other than it's never been taken care of. Hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks again.